And welcome back to Strength, Strategy, and Mindset. This is day number 81. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for Endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications. We're going to the next level. We're creating that life we've always wanted. And we are out again on our walk. And remember, this week we are concentrating on remembering that walking is a part of our MOVE campaign. That's metabolic optimization via exercise. 2 arms that we're doing right now. We're doing the strength training, the body work, and walking is the other components or the component. Walking is in the first tier of our Limitless Living Health Action Plan, and then strength training is in that second tier, but they are complementary components of the plan. And as we've been moving over the last several weeks, I wanted to make sure that this is something that we don't forget. So as you have been as you've been doing the strength training, you should have incorporated also some walking time into your regimen. And so I wanted to spend this week actually concentrating on that and reminding us as we get through the series that we've got to find space and be able to integrate the two into a workable solution for us as we are installing this new version of ourselves into our lives. You know, we spent time talking about the idea of installation. You know, we talked about the accelerator program being the vehicle that takes us to our destination and incorporates all of those various elements that we've learned so far. And as we talk about this installation, the question then becomes, what is the best way of doing that? What is the best way of making sure that we are consistent and that we are doing the things that we've learned? One of the most important things of anything that we are doing is that not just the information, but getting into practice. And we'll spend more time this week actually talking more about that. Make sure you join us as we go through our various shows for this week. But practice, one of the primary things that I hear when I talk to my friends who are in, and you've heard me say this, law enforcement or in the military, is this concept of repetition. And repetition is a powerful teacher, and it's a powerful generator of consistency. When we did our 100-day walk to consistency and health, one of the things that you heard me stress over and over was that there are times when you're simply just showing up, okay? You're tired and frustrated, and the schedule is off, and weather doesn't want to cooperate, and your job doesn't want to cooperate. And the question is, how does that then translate into what we do? And that is the consistency. One of the things I love to watch, well, my dad used to watch, and so I guess I got into the habit of just hanging out with him. He used to watch old war movies, you know, World War I, World War II movies, and so forth. And then he would jump forward and he'd watch movies in more modern wars. And one of the points that he would make to me was that he loved to watch them go through their training. Right? He said, look at this, look at that. He would point this out to me. He said, look at this, look at what they're doing. And he got so much joy out of watching them go through these maneuvers over and over and over. I think he actually enjoyed watching that more than he probably enjoyed watching the rest of the movie. Because in his mind, if they went over it, if they did it over and over and over, then of course, when they showed up, they were going to be successful. And so he would do that. He would talk about it. And one of the interesting things as I was coming up, and my dad was a talker, and so sometimes I wished he would just give me a spanking or something and just be done with it. But he would stop me, I'd done something, and he would stand there and he would go over it over and over and over. And he would say that he wanted to make sure that I heard it over and over and over. And one of the things that I do in my office, actually, now that I think of it, is when I'm talking, I will repeat in different ways. I'll say one thing, and then I'll find a different way of saying it. I'll find a different story. I'll find a different perspective, because my goal is to help the person I'm talking to get that idea instilled in them. And so that concept translates into so much that we do. When we are, if for instance in this space, when we're talking about how are we going to be consistent, how are we going to make sure that the things that we're learning are things that are continuing to stay present in mind and stay fresh, so that we can be successful. A big part of that is the repetition that we go through. I know there are times when, for example, we did, once again, going back to our walking, when we did that series, there were times when I showed up I had to walk. I was walking. And so whatever was going on around me, it's like, what are you doing? I'm going out, I'm going to go walk. Well, it's hot out. Yeah, I'm going to go walk. It's cold out. Yeah, I'm going to go walk. We've got this thing that's coming up soon. Yeah, I'm going to go walk. And it became that consistent thing that I did simply now because I was in the habit of doing it. And so a big part of what you will find is that there are times it's just a matter of doing. It's just a matter of showing up. It's just a matter of, even if you walk down to the mailbox and walk back to the house, you've shown up for your walk. You walk to the door and come back in, you've shown up. But getting that consistent time, getting that space where your brain and your body now knows, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is what was going to happen. And so that rote memory, that muscle memory, you'll hear us talk more about that once again as we go through this week. That muscle memory, when I listen to my son playing piano, and I love watching him now, because I remember before, he was kind of like me, just fingers just going all over the place, and not very graceful. But when I watch him now, aside from the sound, just watching him, his hands, his fingers move like someone who plays the piano, who's been playing the piano, who has some proficiency in playing. And that is because of the consistency that he's had. Now, it hasn't been easy sometimes, right? Because we had to tell him to get over there and play the piano and play the piano and play the piano. And it was a struggle at one time. But we did not let up. We did not give in. And so what's a joy for me now is to not have to say to him, oh, go practice. We'll be trying to get out the house and he's at the piano practicing. Or we've been trying to go to bed and he's at the piano practicing. I think my wife was telling me that, was it last night or the night before, I was already out. I was asleep, and so she walked in there and said, "Hey, it's getting late," and he said, I'm working on something. He's writing something or working on something. I'm not sure what he was doing, but he was working on something on the piano. And so one of the benefits also of the consistency and the practice is that after a while, the things that we thought were difficult, the things we thought were challenging, the things we thought we couldn't do become familiar to us. And they may never become easy, right? So we're not talking about easy, but you become proficient. And when you think of yourself, when you watch yourself, when other people watch you, you're like, oh wow, yeah, I can tell that he has put some time into that, or she's put some time into that. And that is a part of this concept of consistency. So when we talk about metabolic optimization, what we're talking about is how do we put into practice those things that we know are beneficial to our metabolism. Whether you are working to lower your weight, you're working to improve your blood pressure, improve your blood sugar, you're working to reverse some of the metabolic diseases that you currently suffer from. That's the goal, and we have the tool, we have the schematic, but how does that become consistent? And that is a huge part of why some people, although they know what to do, why they're not successful. And it's because that has not been installed as a default system. And it hasn't been installed because it is not a consistent thing. And so consistency is your superpower. Oh man, that harkens back to our series from before. Remember, consistency is that thing that says that I'm going to show up wherever I need to. I'm going to be here. I'm not going to work on whether this is the same as it was before, because it may not be the same. But I am showing up and I'm doing what I need to do to be successful, because I know that I have a goal, I have a destination, I have something that I'm working on, something that is going to be beneficial for me. And so that's where I am, that's where I'm going. And so I love that concept. And it is the driving force for a lot of what I do now. That I have a vision of where I want to be, vision of where I've got to go. And you guys hear me out, there's a lot of nature sounding right now. I've got a vision of what I want to happen. And so my question then is, how do I make that happen? What is my role in being sure that I am doing what I need to do to be successful? When I was in college, one of the things I had to decide was whether going to that class was important, right? And for a lot of the time, it was important, because if I wanted that degree, guess what? Yeah, I needed to be there. And so there were times when I may not have wanted to go, when I was tired, when weather wasn't conducive, when, whatever it was. But if I wanted that degree, I needed to be there. I remember being in, when I was working on my coaching certification, it was a lot of material. And so being there, and we did this, I did this after hours. So I was going to work. I was doing my regular day job, as it were, and then working on this certification later in the evening, taking the class later in the evening. And so I'd be in there with people who were probably, people who were also coming from work. And so the instructor was there and he was talking, and we'd be there, and sometimes you'll see our eyes glaze over a little bit. And so he had to do some things to kind of get us engaged. And I had to do some things to get myself engaged. But if I wanted to get that certification, then I needed to be there. And and that is a core concept, right? That we all have to begin incorporating. So not just the consistency, because the consistency is built on us understanding that what we're doing we may not gain traction today or tomorrow, but over time, little by little, if we stick to it, if we're continuing to do that, remember we talked about the compound effect. If we continue doing that over time, we get the benefit. And in that space, working on that certification, I knew what I wanted, and I knew what the things were that I needed to get there. And so there were times when I wanted to miss a class, or I was like, man, I'm so tired today. But it was pivotal if I was going to do and achieve what I wanted. And so a part of what we do as we're moving into these spaces, and here we're talking about health, is understanding where we want to go. Now, let me pause and let me make an important statement. And here it is. Often, the thing that gets the very last of what we have is our health. Yep. And I am, once again, owning some of that for myself. So we will take care of the house, the car, the family. We'll take care of the job. We'll take care of the church, the community center, the neighborhood, the lawn. We'll take care of everything else around us. And the thing that gets the least bit that's left is our health. Because after all, it's going to be there, right? And that's what we tell ourselves. That's what we feel, because the body is resilient. It's going to keep going. And the unfortunate thing is that the body actually does do a great job of being resilient and being and bouncing back. So we put the body through some stuff, y'all, and it just keeps going. It's like that little bunny, right, on the commercials, and it just keeps. It doesn't matter what we do, the body keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. And so we get that false idea that is going to keep going all the time. For a lot of people, it goes for a long time. I mean, there are people who I see, that I meet in the office, and as I'm moving around my environment, there are people that I see, and they'll say to me, I haven't been to the doctor in 10 years. I haven't been to the doctor in 15 years. I've not been sick a day in my life. And kudos to those people that have a body, or let me say it a little differently. Kudos to those people who've taken some time, right? Because sometimes it's not just that they've not done anything at all. There are people who have taken some time to invest in their body early on, and so they go for a long time. And kudos to those who have not invested in their body, but their body has been so amazing and resilient and restorative and reparative that it has been able to survive and to take them a long way into their lives. Kudos to them. But for many of us, when we don't put in the time for our bodies, at some point, something becomes more than the body's able to resist. It's more than the body's able to repair on its own. It's more than the body's able to sustain. And we end up in a space that we did not expect to be. And that is what we want to avoid. So we don't want to be the one that says, oh wow, I'm one of the ones where my body could not go for 80 years and still keep ticking despite what I was doing. And so the investments that we put in now are tremendous in their benefit down the road, and tremendous in the ability to keep us ticking and keep us going. And remember what our goal is, right? So our goal is not just to walk and to strength train, and that's not our goal. Our goal is long, healthy life. And why do we want long, healthy life? I want long, healthy life so I can see that young man who I was telling you about a little while ago, whose fingers are now moving across the piano keys as though he is a pianist. I want to see that young man do some amazing things. I want to have some time now that my wife and I we've established our practice, we've done our training, we've raised kids. I want some time now where we can say, look, let's go hang out and let's do some stuff. Let's travel. Let's see some things that we've always wanted to see. So we're not just doing this just because, right? There's a reason for what we're doing. There is a why, right? That's the rhythm of our lives. What are we about? What is the reason? What's the function that we are here? Why are we here? And part of my reason for what I'm doing is that I realized that I couldn't stay where I was if I was going to be able to achieve the long life, long health goal that I wanted and that I envisioned. Okay? So that just like the degree that I wanted, and just like the certification that I wanted, I have some other goals, some other desires, some other wants, some other wishes. And a part of how I get there is making a decision that just like I showed up for the degree when I didn't feel like it, and frankly, just like I go outside and cut the lawn, well, not cut the lawn, but do the bushes and the hedges, and I put the stuff out, and I'm taking care of the lawn, taking care of the property. Sometimes I don't want to be out there. It's hot, it's cold, it's whatever, right? It's long. I don't want to be out there. But why do I go out? Right? Other than because I don't want to get that letter from the people, you know, those people. Other than that, I go out because it has to be done, right? And I remember, and this is let me tell on myself. I just mentioned about doing everything and giving the last to ourselves. I remember I was supposed to go for a walk. I hadn't done it earlier in the day, and the day had gotten away from me because I was doing some other stuff away from home. And so I rushed home and I said, man, I gotta get home so I can go for my walk. And I got to the house, and just as I got to the house, I remembered, oh, tomorrow is big trash day. And it was, sun had been going, it was going down, it was getting dark. And you know what I did? Yep, you got it. I diverted my walk. I went into the garage, went through the house, got some stuff from my wife, got some stuff from the house, went out into the yard really quickly and cut some limbs, which I should have done earlier. And it was, when I got finished, it was, I think maybe 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. So it was late. And I was exhausted at the time. And so looking outside, there was this big pile of stuff waiting for the big trash people to come pick it up, and I didn't go for my walk because I chose, I want you to listen, I chose to do something other than put my walk, which was my health, first. Now, I'm not knocking the decision to go there. I'm not judging the decision to go there. What I'm saying simply is that we make that decision all the time. And the thing that comes out on the short end of the stick most often is that we decide to do something else other than what we need to do for our health. And in that instance, does one day make a difference? Does that one day that I took to do the big trash compared to walk, did that make a difference in my blood pressure, my blood sugars, how many days I'm going to live healthy? Perhaps not. Perhaps it does. But what I do know is that's not an isolated incident for me. I've done that over and over and over and over and over again. I've done it for classes. I've done it for other people. I've done it for church. I've done it for a team member. I've done it on my job. I've done it for the car. I've done it for the house. I've done it for the lawn. And after a while, all of those begin to add up. So you're missing one in the scheme of things. Is it a big deal? Perhaps not. But how many times do you miss that one? How many times have you missed that one? How many times have we made the decision that our health is going to be there? After all, our bodies is resistant, is resilient. It has the ability to bounce back. It does it all the time. You get a cold, you get an infection, you get a stomach bug, you break a leg, whatever it is, and it comes on right back until it doesn't. And so metabolic optimization via exercise is all about what do we do, and how do we, I shouldn't say what do we do, how do we install into our lives those things that are so powerful that we know that they work, and how do we keep the consistency that's required to make sure that all of those procedures, all of those benefits that we know we can get show up. And that's the idea. And so for you, as we're walking through this week, the plan is not for you to beat yourself up. The plan is not for you to look and say, whoa, woe is me. The plan is not for you to say, oh, how bad a girl I am or how bad a boy I am. The plan is to say, okay, I may have made some decisions in the past, but I'm living a limitless life now. What happened back there, I can't change. I already put the trash out. I already missed that walk that time. But going forward, how do I get the most consistent version of myself? And how do I make sure that my life, my health, my body is at the top of the list and not at the bottom? And installing that new version, installing the new behavior into our lives, that's what it's all about. That consistency, that having the vision, and that prioritizing our health, yeah, that's where we do it. And as we move through this week, as we move through the different spaces, the different shows, right? Make sure you get to our YouTube channel, and right there you'll see that playlist that says Start Here. It says Reverse Your Diabetes and Reclaim Your Health. Start here. And that process is the path that we're on. And the accelerator is the engine that drives that. It is the engine that helps to install that into our bodies, install that into our lives, and helps us to remain consistent. Because if we're going to be successful, it doesn't take big, large changes. It doesn't take big proclamations. It doesn't take big, shifts. What it takes is small, inch by inch, step by step, lift by lift, rep by rep. It takes small, consistent behavior over time. If we do that, then we become successful. And after all, that's what limitless living is all about. Because we're saying that we're not allowing anything, nothing from outside or nothing from inside. Not the weather, not the temperature, not the time of day, not our schedule. We're not allowing anything from outside. We're not allowing anything from inside. No guilt, no frustration, no anger, no anxiety, no depression. Nothing to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're showing up with what we have. We're showing up with the best of us. We're showing up with our best selves, our best health, and the best plans for our life. And we are going to be limitless. So thank you for being here. I'm always excited when we have this conversation. And here you are, another day. This is date number 81 as we continue moving through the space. I'm so excited that we get to hang out. We get to spend time together. So this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Woode with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living a limitless life. So go have a limitless life, and we'll see you tomorrow for day number 82 of strength, strategy, and mindset.